In this video, we're going to talk about one of the challenges that many people face as they transition out of Mormonism into a new faith, a biblical faith in Jesus, and that's the sense of identity, because we know Mormonism is not just a belief system. It really is a whole, all-encompassing cultural identity that really defines who people are. And it's hard to just leave that in the past. And it can be very challenging to people as they have to figure out what their new identity is once they've lost that sense of LDS identity. So we're going to talk about that today. And so, tell us a little bit about your identity as a Latter-day Saint and how that felt, what that was like for you growing up.
As a Latter-day Saint, I was learning about Jesus, I thought, in primary, in nursery even, learning about wanting to go to the temple, learning about all the good things we need to do. It was who my friends were. All my family, all my friends. I don't think I had any friends that wasn't. And so it was who I was. I was a Mormon, and I was proud of it.
Yeah. Your whole family then and everything going back a ways, or?
I bet you I have ancestors crossing the plains. Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure.
But all that contributes to this sense of this is who I am.
That's my heritage.
Yeah, your heritage, your family traditions,
Yep.
The sense of who I am growing up. I am
A Mormon.
Yeah, I am a Mormon.
Yeah.
So I know that at some point in time, you started to realize that the teachings of Mormonism weren't true. And maybe we can talk about that another time, how that discovery process. But what I'm interested in today is, as you started to come to grips with that, how did that affect your sense of identity?
I lost it.
Okay.
I didn't know who I was.
Okay.
I was unidentifiable. I was just some matter.
So tell us more. How did that feel? What was that like? Are there some specific ways that kind of affected you?
Yeah, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I belonged. I didn't know what end was up. It was like the world was turning,
Okay.
and I stopped and I fell off of it.
Okay.
And I found my way. Well, I think Jesus did that for me.
Yeah.
He found me.
Yeah. So let's talk about that in a minute. But what are some of the things that you would like, as someone who's coming out of Mormonism, that you'd warn them and say, you might experience this or you might experience that?
You'll experience loss of your identity. You'll question what you've found out. You'll wonder if you're finding out things that can't be true.
Okay.
Why would that be? Because the church is true. We learn that from the time we know how to talk. And then you're looking at stuff that's contradicting that. The contradiction needs to come on me or the person questioning.
It must be my fault. I don't understand this right.
Because the church is true. So I must be not in tune with the Spirit. I must not be praying hard enough.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be my fault why I'm feeling that the Mormon church isn't true.
Okay, that's a common response that people make. Yeah.
It took a long time of thinking that there was something wrong with me, and I was trying to figure it out, trying to live better, because if you do good stuff, you get blessings.
Yeah.
I almost went atheist, actually.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do, right?
I didn't know. I knew there was something, but I didn't know what it was, because if the Mormon church wasn't true, then what could be?
Right, because we're taught from a young age that there's only one true church.
Only one true church, and the others are an abomination.
Right, so if this one isn't true, then where do I turn,
It would be an abomination if I went somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. So, what hope, you've experienced some hope coming out of that devastating loss of identity and who am I, and that you said that like the world is turned upside down, and so what happened? Can you give us some hope?
Yeah, what happened was I read the Bible.
Okay.
I read the Bible as a child because somebody had suggested to do that. And I actually started with the book of John. I didn't start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And just reading that, I just read it, and I read it again, and I just saw this big Jesus. The God Jesus. And now try to wrap that around my brain. Because God is Jesus. How can that be? Never in a million years would I hear those words come out of my mouth. But now that I understand who Jesus is and what he did, it's just so important to me. And what he did, because he loves us. And it's in the book of John how much he loves us and what he did. And his deity.
Yeah.
He said he was God. So either he is or he isn't. Either he did or he's lying. You know, and I think he lied.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're discovering the love of Jesus, you're discovering the deity of Jesus, then how does that help you rebuild that lost sense of identity?
I think it was, I heard that when I get born again, I get adopted into God's family. As a Mormon, I was born a child of God. So I've always considered myself a child of God, except for when I lost my identity. And then I found it again, and God adopted me. So, you know, sometimes through adoption is a little bit... When you actually adopt somebody, you really want them.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I'm not saying that when you have a baby, you don't really want it. But when you go through the adoption, you really want it. And that's what God did. He adopted me. And so I am his kid.
Wow.
You know, that's who I am.
Yeah, he wanted you enough to include you in his family. Yeah. Awesome. That's encouraging. So your new identity is not about the church or the culture that you belong to, but it's about your relationship with God.
Yes. I'm a disciple of Jesus.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I hope that's encouraging to you today, because you might be going through some of that same deconstruction, that same chaos in your sense of identity. And our prayer for you is that you'll come to the place where you have confidence of your relationship with God, and you can begin to build a new identity that's centered on your relationship with Jesus Christ.